What is going on YouTube? I am Lamont at large. Today we are in Kettering, Ohio, and I'm here to talk about the very perplexing disappearance of Erica Baker and to talk about the sad realization that her body more than likely will never be found. I am walking down the very street where Erica Baker used to live with her mother, Misty. Now, on February 7th, 1999, it was a day very unlike this one. It was very cold and it was very rainy. It had been raining all day. Greg Baker, who's Erica's dad, had dropped his daughter off at her mother's house here on this street. At the time, they were not together. Now, Greg and his daughter, Erica, they had gotten into a little bit of an argument earlier. Erica was mad at her dad because he had forgot to purchase tickets to some father-daughter dance that was happening at her school. So she probably gets out of the car in a little bit of a tuff. So she walks inside to her house, and her aunt's Shih Tzu was there. And Erica wanted to walk the dog to the park, which is over this tree line over in front of you right here. Now, Misty, Erica's mom, did not want her daughter to go outside because it was raining outside and she didn't want her to get sick. So she begged her mom, please, I want to walk the dog. She really loved that dog. And she said, I'll put on a raincoat, please just let me go to the park and walk the dog. Finally, like a lot of parents, you just kind of get tired of your children either crying or you just feel bad because you want them to be able to go outside. So that's what happened. So she says, fine, make sure you put on your raincoat jacket and don't be gone too long, because February in Ohio, it's going to get dark at around 5 o'clock. So at this time, she leaves her house right at around 3:30 p.m. I am walking on the very same path that Erica would be walking on that day with her dog. As you can see, already 2 minutes into the video, and you can tell that this is a very nice neighborhood. This disappearance is not something that often happens in places like Kettering. It's very quiet right here, and who would have thought such a terrible story would have occurred in such an unassuming neighborhood such as this where I'm at right now. As Erica walks down the street, she passes Olson Drive and Braddock Street, and her destination is right in front of her. She passes this house here on the right. Now, a leisurely stroll by a 9-year-old little girl is going to take her about 10 minutes from her home to this location. She had told her mother she was going to walk her dog, or her aunt's dog, to the Kettering Recreation Center, which sits on the grounds along with, as you can see, that water park right there is a park to the right, which is the Indian Riffle Park. Now, according to eyewitnesses, which there were two on that evening, she was with her dog. She approached this park right here. To the right, you're going to see Indian Riffle Park. We're going to go on over this little hill right here to get a better vantage point. It's about 4 p.m. and according to two eyewitnesses at this very pond here at Indian Riffle Park, they seen Erica sitting at one of these benches. Could have been that bench, could have been the bench over there. I'm not really sure. She's sitting with the dog. Now, Erica's mother, Misty, told her daughter, you got to be back definitely before dark. And this pond right here, this would be the last known location that anyone saw Erica Baker. Now you fast forward a couple hours later, now it's already dark. And Misty doesn't know where her daughter is. All of a sudden, the dog turns up. Erica is nowhere to be found. Misty immediately calls 911, and You get a bunch of police officers from the Kettering Police Department combing this whole area, looking for a 9-year-old girl. It's already dark. Dog has turned up. Erica has not. Now it's that old, same sad story where somebody's daughter, somebody's son, somebody's loved one goes missing and never turns up. There are tens of thousands of stories just like this that occur, sadly, all the time. Now, you're gonna fast forward about a year or two later. The exact date is not known to me, but you know you have a lot of those tip lines. So somebody calls in a tip. It says, I believe I know what happened to Erica Baker. Okay, tell us more. The story goes as follows. There's a woman by the name of Jan Franks. At the time, February 7th, 1999, she had a boyfriend. His name was Christian Gabriel. The tipster basically said, those are the people that you need to talk to. Authorities get a hold of Jan Franks, and she ain't talking. Immediately, she lawyers up. So she gets a lawyer. I believe the lawyer's name was Beth Lewis. Now, what conversation took on between Beth and Jan, I don't know. And I'm going to tell you why here momentarily. A name pops up, a man that she used to date named Christian Gabriel. Now, this is where the story gets very, very weird. Eventually, a story comes out that sometime after 4 p.m., February 7th, 1999, when the last eyewitnesses seen Erica at that bench over at that pond, from then to her house, she was walking her dog and a van came out of nowhere and ran her over. A couple people jumped out of a van and said, oh, dang, we just hit a girl. So normally when you accidentally run over somebody, your first immediate reaction is to be a good citizen. We know you made a mistake. You didn't mean to do this. You immediately see if they're okay and you call 911. You call for paramedics. The story goes is that they took Erica and put her in a van and left. Okay, well, we need more clarification of this story. So the police eventually get a hold of Christian Gabriel, who at the time they were talking to was no longer involved with Jan Franks. She had married somebody else. So they get him into the interrogation room and they said, listen, we have reason to believe that you are associated with the disappearance of Erica Baker. So eventually this guy confesses to the story, and it goes as follows, at least according to his events, his wording, his story. He was riding in the passenger van. It was him, his girlfriend at the time, Jan Franks, and it was two other people. It was another couple. They were going around Dayton, Ohio, which is not very far from here. I think maybe 20 minutes, if that. And they were shoplifting all day long to feed their drug habit. These guys were just boozing it up and drugging it up. The driver accidentally hits Erica. They get out and they get spooked. They get scared. So what do you do when that happens? Well, according to Mr. Gabriel, you pick the person that you hit up, throw them in the van, go back to your apartment and do more drugs and drink more booze and leave the girl in the van. So by the time they realized, after the drugs and the booze wore off, they went to go check on Erica and she's in the van and she's dead. So they say, oh, damn, we're in trouble. We got to hide this body. So They get in the van as a foursome or whoever. They drive to some unknown location and bury the body. According to the interview the police did with Christian Gabriel, he wasn't at the wheel of the van. No, he was in the passenger seat. He was riding shotgun. But in another story, somebody else was riding shotgun, and all of a sudden this guy's in the back seat. Well, we don't know where this guy was. This guy is, according to him, he's buzzed and kind of high, whatever you want to call it. So they're asking him now, they say, well, where's the van? And he said, well, I don't have it. I sold it. So they tracked down the guy that Christian sold the van to. So they get the van, they take it into police custody. I'm sure they tell him, hey, listen, you'll get the van back. This van is wanted in connection with a possible murder of a young child. So they get the van, and I'm sure they're expecting to find some form of evidence pertaining to the disappearance of Erica Baker. Nothing. No DNA. Nothing. No fingerprints. No blood. It doesn't even say online if there's ever even any damage to the van that looks like it hit somebody hard enough to cause their death. Now, they're talking to this guy, and they're saying, okay, now you've already told us you were in the van. You've already told us you were at the location where they buried her. But according to him, he didn't get out of the van to help them dispose of her body. He stayed in the van. He watched them do all the hard work, digging the hole or whatever. So he's like, yeah, I think I remember. So he takes them to different locations around the area. They go to location A, nothing. They go to an area by, I believe Crestwood it's called, nothing. Near Nottingham Dam, nothing. This guy's taking them absolutely everywhere. And I'm sure the cops are just thinking to themselves, okay, this guy is just totally bamboozling us. Well, of course he is. Because here's the thing. Here's how I see it. There's no evidence of a crime other than a tipster. All there is a drunken drug addict loser's word that, oh yeah, we hit her, but I don't know what happened. They don't know anything. This guy could have told them any story he wanted to. And either this guy just doesn't remember, or me personally, what I think is he remembers exactly where he put the body. And I agree with the police in their feelings that not only does he know exactly where Erica Baker is, he was the one at the wheel of the van at the time the accident occurred. The detectives know damn well that they do not have nearly enough evidence to get this guy on account of murder. There's no body. There's no evidence of a crime other than somebody calling in and on a tip line. And there is no statute of limitations when it comes to murder, but there is on the available crimes that they could charge Gabriel with. So with about 3 days before those statute of limitations are set to expire, the police arrest and they charge Christian Gabriel with 1 count of gross abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. Now, eventually, he goes to trial, and of course, they have him confessing to the crime that there's no evidence that one even occurred. And he is sentenced to 6 years in prison. Now, he does damn near all the time, because when he gets out, he's not on probation because he just left straight to Florida. And basically, that's the last thing that anybody has found from him, is he went off to Florida, and that's it. And let me just say this. If you put yourself in the position of this scumbag, Christian Gabriel, like I said just earlier, right now, there's no statute of limitations when it comes to murder. And they could charge him with a murder if what his story says is true. So if you're in his shoes, why would you want to tell the police where you buried her? Because then that's a murder charge. So of course you're not going to say anything. You're just going to lead them on a wild goose chase. And even up to this year, detectives, they just went to the area in Huffman Dam. I said earlier Nottingham Dam. I meant Huffman Dam. And they searched that area and nothing. Now, there is some kind of new drone technology I was reading about that the police were trying to use in this case, where when you fly the drone over a particular spot of land, it senses like some kind of depressions in the earth, topography that is not aligned with the natural course of how land settles and all of that. And they flew the drone in a couple different areas, and this drone can detect impressions that were made 20 years ago. But here's the bad thing about that. I'm assuming that animals dig up stuff all the time, so I don't know how valid or usable this technology is. I mean, the technology is still amazing, but still, we don't know if it's usable in a case such as this. Like I said earlier, this guy is never going to tell them where she's located, because if they ever find her, and if they find enough evidence, they could charge him with murder, and he knows that. So he doesn't want nothing to do with Ohio. And like I said earlier, this is the pond where she was last seen. They've actually dredged this pond, took all the water out. I believe there's almost 3 million gallons here, and they found absolutely nothing. It's like this girl literally walked off the face of the planet.